shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Behave yourselves!
Hello YouTubers out there, this is Jerry Saravia at the movies. So today we're looking at Exit 8, and this is a Japanese horror film, for sure, based on a video game that came out, I think, a year earlier from Japan. I kind of stumbled into the film, I just decided to select something a little different, a little off the beaten path, something I didn't even hear about. I certainly didn't know anything about it, other than it was adapted from a Japanese video game, and didn't know what to expect. This was really something. This was definitely good. And so I'm going to try to describe this, but this is basically an endless nightmare of a movie, which is usually my favorite type of horror flick to some degree. Something that really builds on perpetual anxiety. There's a lot of that in this picture. It is basically anxiety-ridden, the entire picture. Anxiety-ridden. The whole film takes place in subway corridors in Japan. So you have Kazunari-Ninomiya, and he plays the lost man. And you see that on a subtitle in the picture. And he's a young guy who listens to Ravel's Bolero. So right there you got me, because I love Ravel's Bolero. I can listen to that all the time. That's something that really builds and builds and builds, as some of you I'm sure know. Anyway, he listens to it on his phone while he's riding the subway, and he's trying to cancel the noise of a crying baby on that train, or the subway rather. And so everyone else is on their phones, not paying any attention to the crying baby. A mother's sitting there trying to calm down the crying baby. And there's one passenger who's right in front of her, standing up, on the subway, and screams at her, "Can you please tell that crying baby to stop? Please, you're the mother." And she apologizes and so on. The lost man tries to cancel out all this. He doesn't want to get involved. He leaves. The lost man leaves the subway, going through the corridors. There is a phone call from his ex-girlfriend, and he tries to ignore it. And interestingly, at first you really see everything from his point of view. You don't even see him yet. Everything is just his point of view only. And so he sees the phone, he drops the phone, cracks it a little, then he decides to take the call. Again, we don't see who the lost man is yet. She says she's pregnant. And this is his ex, and so he becomes a little anxious, and he has an asthmatic condition, so he starts coughing, and "Are you okay? Are you okay? All right, I'll go to the hospital. You don't have to be here." That's basically a conversation between them, but he decides to go. So he is on this mission to go to the hospital, and he says, "Maybe I could just ignore my job. I'll tell them I won't come in, I'll go straight to the hospital." So he goes through the subway corridor, and he keeps going through the subway corridor, and it keeps repeating itself. One section of the corridor has a phone booth and some lockers. He's walking through, he sees some ads, there's a couple of these doors. A man starts walking past him, doesn't acknowledge him at all. We feel this is just somebody who's going to, trying to leave this subway underground as well. But he's going in the opposite direction. So he's at exit 0. He's headed. The lost man is headed to exit 8. But then it keeps repeating. Then he sees the same man walking past. He sees the locker. It's like, what the hell is going on? So then he sees a set of instructions. And this is where the video game mentality is sort of there. And in the set of instructions, it says, if you spot any anomalies, you have to go back. So in other words, whatever is that section that he keeps seeing, he has to check to make sure it matches what he saw previously. Right? So it's a constant repetition. Then that same man comes back. So then he realizes, okay, if something is off, he has to go back. And then he'll eventually keep going, hopefully, to exit 2, exit 3, exit 4, and get to exit 8. Easier said than done. And the whole movie is like that. Now, some of you may scoff at the idea of that. It's as if it was some sort of experimental picture, but it's not really. Although the form may be experimental to a certain extent, right? This idea of repetition. I mean, it could be a David Lynch movie very easily. This would have been exceptional for David Lynch to work on, because you spot all the changes, and some things really become a little more radical. Then there's the lost boy. Then the man, at one point, stops, and he's right behind the lost man, this tall man with a ponytail, carrying a briefcase and his phone, and he's smiling. He has that frozen smile, which really set me off. The guy is Yamato-Kochi, who plays the walking man. And so we don't know where this is headed. But sometimes he has a frozen smile. Then that's sort of the anomaly. He goes back, he sees the same walking man again, but then he spots him again behind him, and he has that frozen smile again. We think he's some sort of phantom at this point. Like, who is this guy? Then there's a lost woman. Then there's the lost boy. And it becomes a nightmare. But the good thing about this, this was adapted from a Japanese video game called Exit 8 by co-writer and director Genki-Kawamura, is that there are devilish surprises along the way. And at one point, the lights go out. And it's almost like a haunted house movie at that point. Like, how come the lights are out? And then there's some slithering creatures nearby, and you spot them briefly, and oh my God. Then there's a crying baby inside the locker, and he opens it, becomes louder, he closes it. Then all these lockers, they sort of light up, and there are a bunch of crying babies. I mean, this movie was unnerving, but it kept my interest throughout. And I really don't want to give away too much more about this picture, because you have to experience it. It is hallucinatory. There is one section of the picture where there's a flood through the subway corridor that looks a little bit like the famous blood coming out of the elevators from The Shining, but it carries a very different connotation. This is just water, and you'll know what that means when you see it. And then sometimes you see his ex-girlfriend on the corridor, sometimes not. Then there's this young woman. We don't know what she's all about. Because then the point of view shifts a little bit. It goes to the walking man, who we learn is really just a regular guy. He's not a phantom. But he's part of one person's point of view, and this guy's also trying to leave. And at one point, he's carrying the lost boy by his hand, and he's ready to leave. And that section is, we just know he shouldn't be exiting. He's exiting too soon. It's a little too premature. I mean, it's just an amazing picture. There is a sense of hope to this movie. It's a very fruitful morality tale, I think. It rises above the frenetic experiment of pure anxiety. And that's really what I loved about the picture. However, if you suffer from panic attacks or any deep anxiety, don't watch this movie. It's going to be difficult, because you really do feel how these characters feel. That anticipation. Are we getting out of here? You know? And this is really, this may easily be the best video game made into a movie ever, because the ones I've seen really just don't measure up. They don't exploit these central ideas and themes of some of the video games that you see. You have to kind of elevate the material a little bit beyond just a video game situation. So this film really is, it could be, you wouldn't even know it was based on a video game when you watch it. And that's what's special about it. So this is one hell of a film. This director is very interesting. If he does more experimental horror films like this, I'm in. Or whatever he does. I was really taken by it. And again, there's an emotional climax that really does work. It's muted a little bit, but you get the idea, and you don't quite see how it's going to play out, but you have a good idea of how it's going to play out. And that he's going to end up, hopefully things will resolve itself. So check out Exit 8 if you haven't. It's a huge hit outside of this country. I think here it's been doing pretty well, I think. But definitely worth checking out. If you want to see something that's really an experiment in terror, that still has characters that you do care about, and builds itself with all sorts of visions that really just show this, again, the fruitful morality of it, of this tale, then check it out. Watch Exit 8. So that's all I got to say about that. Have you seen Exit 8? What do you think of it? I definitely recommend it. It's just, I still think about it. I saw it a few days ago, and I don't know what to say. I've never seen anything quite like this before, for sure. Not like this. Very claustrophobic. Perpetual anxiety is the main thing here. You really do feel it. So, if you're new to this channel, please hit like and subscribe. It helps with the algorithms. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you. I think I don't know how many I have right now. I think 6,477. That's not bad. I hope to get more. Also, check out my blog. The link is in my profile page. And I write reviews of all kinds of films, old and new. So, that's all I got to say about Exit 8. And this is Jerry Saravia, The Movies, signing off.